So, good afternoon. This is our session 11, which deals with chapter 11 on organizational structure and controls. So this will be building on what we did in the last session. And it's all part of the strategy implementation phase of the program. So the discussion in the previous session described how governance mechanisms are used to align the interests of a firm's top-level managers with those of the firm's owners, the stakeholders and the ownership of the company. What we're now looking at is looking at the structures and controls that need to be put in place. So when a firm's strategy isn't matched with the most appropriate structure and controls, performance tends to decline. So you do need to have an alignment between the structures and controls of the organization. The organization structure and the controls used in that structure must be in alignment. And firms must be flexible, innovative and creative in the global economy if they are to exploit their core competencies in the pursuit of marketplace opportunities. Now, some of the organizational controls that are in place in organizations include the use of strategy indicating the overall mission and vision of the company, the strategic controls of the organization in that what the firm might be up to, what it's actually doing on a day-to-day basis. And effective strategic controls help the firm understand what it takes to be successful. They need to evaluate how well a firm is focusing on what it takes to implement its strategies. So from a business level strategy or a corporate level strategy, they need to be in alignment as well. So whatever internal controls are put into place in an organization, they must be consistent with the organizational controls themselves. In other words, the mission, the vision, the mission, the strategic and operational objectives. Because you're accountants, we can look at the financial controls. And these are strategic controls. There are strategic controls which are behavioral, there's ones which are cognitive, but then the financial controls are largely objective criteria that are used to measure the firm's performance against previously established quantitative standards. And these include accounting-based or investment-based accounting standards. So both strategic and financial controls are important aspects of every organizational structure. There are 4 criteria of sustainability in the firm, and these are this question of being valuable, rare, difficult to imitate, and non-substitutable, which we've talked about before. So if we look at strategy and structure growth patterns, we can look at slide 11. And here you have a simple structure, a functional structure, and a multi-divisional structure, all having their own characteristics and so on. So in the simple structure, moving on to the next slide, you have little specialization of tasks, few rules, little formalization, unsophisticated information systems, and so it tends to be much more free-flowing. But on the other hand, if they're successful, small firms can grow, and as a result, the firm outgrows its simple structure. And so you're getting into more complex structure, and this can look like a functional structure, where you're basing the different management organizational structure is based on the different functions. So you've got finance, you've got marketing, sales, you've got operations, you've got research and development, you've got IT, etc., etc. All of these are specializations within the overall organization. And in a multi-divisional structure, it allows for corporate officers to accurately monitor business unit performance, simplify and control problems. It facilitates comparisons between divisions with improved resource allocation. But there is also competition amongst divisions and amongst units for more and more resources. And so managers need to be very careful in monitoring the distribution and allocation of resources to the various divisions so that they have adequate resources to carry out their functions. Now, a functional structure for implementation of a cost leadership strategy, it needs to be production orientated. Emphasis is placed on process engineering, not on product research and development. So it's looking at how things are done, how are the steps taking place in a sequence of activities going on in the operations. Relatively large central staff may be there to coordinate the functions, and these could be localized or they could be remote staff in a headquarters situation. Now, you've got an example of a functional structure on slide number 20, where you've got the president and limited staff. At the top, you have research, development, and marketing, and then you've got new products, research, development, etc., etc. But a cooperative form of multi-divisional structure for implementing the related constraint is exampled in slide 25. Now, from a worldwide point of view, geographic area structure tends to be dominant in most organizations. So the World Bank has its regions, the IMF has its regions, the multinational development banks, such as the Asian Development Bank, will be divided up into different geographic regions within Asia. So they will include, from a global point of view, Asia as a unit, United States, Europe, Middle East, Africa, Australia, and Latin America. So these are the main six groupings of countries that are delegated or working together in collaboration within the global marketplace. And that brings us to the end of that particular session. So thank you.